The three options were time served with probation, 12 months with the rest probation, but served in jail instead of prison, or all 18 months in a correctional facility. The defense wanted the first option. The other options were possible. Everybody held their breath for a minute, and then the judge gave her decision. This is a verdict episode of Just Legal History, and I am your host, Mike. But before we get into the judge's decision, let's discuss what happened at Hannah Guitierrez Reed's sentencing hearing today. The first half of the hearing really was more of a celebration of life for Helena Hutchinson. We heard from friends, co-workers, Joe Sousa, and then we heard from the mother and sister of Helena. Not sure there was a dry eye in the room. Even Hannah, though, not sure if it was for tears for Helena or her tears about her worried about going to prison. Then the state did about a 5-minute slideshow remembering Helena. Next up was Hannah and her statement. Here is a recording.
First and foremost, my heart aches for the Hutchins family and friends and colleagues as well. And it has since the day this tragedy occurred. Helena has been and always will be an inspiration to me. I understand she was taken too soon, and I pray that you all find peace. I am beyond grateful that Joel survived that terrible day. My heart goes out to the film industry for the devastating pain that this tragedy caused and the old wounds that have been reopened. I am saddened by the way the media sensationalized our traumatic tragedy and portrayed me as a complete monster, which has actually been the total opposite of what's been in my heart. Your Honor, when I took on Rust, I was young and I was naive, but I took my job as seriously as I knew how to. Despite not having proper time, resources, and staffing, when things got tough, I just did my best to handle it. Today, I humbly ask you to consider probation, a probation where I can contribute to society through community service, and I can continue my counseling, and I welcome any classes that you may deem necessary for me to attend. I give you my word now that I would strictly follow the rules and respect the parameters of that probation. I beg you, please don't give me more time. The jury has found me in part at fault for this god-awful tragedy, but that doesn't make me a monster. That makes me human. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we heard from the judge.
And I'm not looking at tables, it's because I'm reading. First of all, thank you for your presentations. Thank the friends and family of Helena for presenting their memories and their losses of Helena. There are really three choices for sentencing before me. What the defense wants is a conditional discharge. This means straight probation, unless Ms. Guitierrez comes back on a probation violation. She won't have a felony conviction on her record, so she can continue to possess firearms. Again, unless she comes back on a probation violation and receives the imposition of the probated sentence. The second one has not been offered by counsel, but I've certainly thought of it, and it's to continue her in the Santa Fe County Detention Center. That would be for 12 months. That's all she's allowed to stay at the detention center. And then put her on probation for the rest of the time. She's facing 18 months. She's got pre-sentence confinement for about a month or so. In this scenario, she won't experience prison. She will be a convicted felon. She cannot carry a firearm under federal law and for a specific time under New Mexico law. And then there's prison. And the state has proposed at 85% of the time sentenced to incarceration based on the serious violent offense statute. For all the fanfare and pundits and finger-pointing that has been going on for over 2 years, we were able to seat a jury of her peers who confirmed they could listen to the evidence received in court and determine the facts and apply the law. They found Ms. Guitierrez guilty of involuntary manslaughter. What were some of the poignant facts that came out during the trial? In her police interview, she proudly owned her position as armorer. On October 21st, 2021, chaos ended after the film crew walked off. Ms. Hutchins and others were trying to rig, if you will, how they were going to keep filming. And what was the defendant doing while waiting? She was loading Alec Baldwin's gun. Did she have enough time to load the weapon safely? Plenty. Did she load the weapon? Yes, with dummies and a live round. Did she check what she was loading? No. Why? Well, in her own words, most recently, in her jail calls, she didn't need to be shaking the dummies all the time. Did she check after that? No. And while you've heard her concerns about how she'll never work again as an armorer leading up to the trial, have her concerns changed? No. Here's what she says. This whole thing has been a character attack on her. Just recently, in her allocution, I'm not a monster. And what did, where is it? They talk about how much of on the phone, she and another are talking about how much of Hannah's life they could take up, and that this is messing up her modeling career. This is while she's incarcerated, waiting for a sentence. And what does she say about the death of Helena? Hannah is dismissive of the judge talking about someone dying as a result of her actions. Hannah says she's looking at 13 months, which is ridiculous over what happened. Hannah says that people have accidents and people die. It's an unfortunate part of life, but it doesn't mean she should be in jail. A conditional discharge is not appropriate. And the second option of leaving you in the detention center would be giving you a pass you do not deserve. I did not hear you take accountability in your allocution. You said you were sorry. You were sorry, but not you were sorry for what you did. You were sorry for it and hope they can find peace. It was your attorney that had to tell the court that you were remorseful. The word remorse, a deep regret coming from a sense of guilt for past wrongs. That's not you. You're hereby sentenced as follows. Stand. I am sentencing you to 18 months of incarceration at a New Mexico women's correctional facility. I find that what you did constitutes a serious violent offense. It was committed in a physically violent manner, a fatal gunshot done with your recklessness in the face of knowledge that your acts were reasonably likely to result in serious harm. You were the armorer, the one that stood between a safe weapon and a weapon that could kill someone. You alone turned a safe weapon into a lethal weapon. But for you, Miss Hutchins would be alive, a husband would have his partner, and a little boy would have his mother. Please take her. I'm going to ask the deputies to watch how the courtroom gets cleared.
Let's go over what we heard. Now we learned several things from the judge. One, that Hannah is sentenced to 18 months in a female correctional facility. Second, this was a violent felony. And she says that she didn't believe that Hannah was sorry about what happened at all. And the last, the judge said, take her away. Hannah and her attorneys have said that they will appeal the decision. Hannah is now guilty of a felony which has several restrictions. One is that she could never legally own a gun, vote, or be on a jury. So her career as an armorer is over officially, though it was over unofficially before that. Now things turn toward what will happen in the Alec Baldwin case, starting in July. Earlier this week, we saw that the state replied to a motion to dismiss the case. Baldwin had put in a motion asking the judge to dismiss the charges, and the state replied, We also learned a few things, and one of them was that the state offered a plea deal to Baldwin, and I think we learned that the offer was 6 months of unsupervised probation, which another person in the case got. It was also reported Hannah was offered that deal, but had to explain how a live bullet got on set. She refused. I bet now she wishes she did. So unless the judge dismisses the charges, things will go on. There are some differences between Hannah's and Alex's case, and some will argue that since Alec was just relying on the others that the gun was good, that he will be found not guilty. But there are other items that will work against Alec. One, that he had a lot of experience in acting and using weapons on set, and he wasn't following the rules, and he refused training. 2, that he was an executive producer, so he had more responsibilities. And 3rd, in that he was the one rushing people and risking safety. We'll do more as we get closer to the case. This has been an episode of Just Legal History. Be careful with anything that can kill somebody.